Amen, say man. This is the A-Man Show, back at it again for another banger. The Atlanta Falcons is a very interesting team to evaluate going into the regular season, and it comes down to the signing of Kirk Cousins in the offseason. Last year, the Falcons had a 7-10 record, all due to quarterback play and coaching all season. Desmond Ridder started a majority of the games that year, and in those games, he was statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. As many picks as touchdowns, an extremely poor QBR rating of 40.7 in the games of him throwing away games has been a recurring theme with Desmond Ridder. So he got benched for Taylor Heineke, who didn't do anything as well. That, along with an incompetent coach in Arthur Smith, has led the Falcons to be a mediocre team last season. But the signing of Kirk Cousins, the hiring of Raheem Morris, and a young, talented roster, the Falcons are building an actual squad at ATL. That leaves the question, are the Atlanta Falcons playoff contenders in the NFC? That's what I'm going to discuss in this video. But first, make sure y'all subscribe. I'll post NBA and NFL content. Turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss anything new from me. Anyways, stay tuned and enjoy the vid. The Atlanta Falcons have been rebuilding off of the Matt Ryan, Julio Jones era, where they have been one of the most mediocre teams in the NFL. The last playoff appearance they had was in 2017. Yes, a 7-year playoff drought. The Falcons haven't been terrible, but they haven't been good either. They have been well around the middle, meaning they have been mid. They have been in no man's land where they are not bad enough to get a top 5 pick aside from 2020, but they are also not good enough to compete for a playoff spot. And so there is no clear direction with this organization up until today. Sure, the Falcons drafted many key guys on the roster, such as in 2018, where they drafted Calvin Ridley with the 26th overall pick. Sure, he got traded to the Jags for a second-round pick, all due to him dealing with availability issues. You kind of wonder how good this receiving core could have been if Calvin Ridley didn't deal with gambling, because at his best, he was a top 10 receiver in the NFL, especially in the 2020 season. And hell, I ranked him in the top 10 in my receivers ranking video 3 years back. But anyways, aside from Ridley, in the same draft, the Falcons selected a Jim and Folsey Oluokun in the 7th round in the 18th draft, and he will develop into a Pro Bowl level linebacker, and he will later get more of this recognition when he signed with Jacksonville, which is anus for the Falcons. The next year, selected Chris Lindstrom with the 14th overall pick, who was among the top 5 offensive linemen in the NFL. And then later in the draft, selected solid lineman and Caleb McRae with the last pick of the 1st round. Then in the 2020 draft, selected AJ Terrell with the 16th overall pick, and he will turn out to be an elite corner in his own right. The next year, selected a generational tight end prospect in Kyle Pitts with the 4th overall pick, and then the next year, Drake London with the 8th overall pick in the 2020 draft, and the first receiver taken in the board, BJ Robinson with the 8th overall pick, and then this year, drafted QB Michael Penix Jr. with the same draft pick, number 8 overall. The Falcons actually drafted strong talent over the years, and the majority of them are producing at a high level. But the reason why the Falcons never improved is because of the coaching staff. Ever since the Falcons got rid of Dan Quinn and hired former Titans offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith, the Falcons' offense were painfully mid because of Arthur Smith's incompetence, especially what he done to Kyle Pitts, underutilizing him in the passing game and overall on offense. And the same thing goes to Bijan Robinson, not getting him the ball, and not even that. He was shit at managing a game, and he simply was unfit to be a head coach because all the talent he had on offense, he was just fucking holding them back. Mind you, despite anus quarterback play, the offense should have been one of the most potent in the NFL, but because of Arthur Smith's incompetence as far as his play scheme, utilizing players' potential and managing a game, the Falcons went 3 straight years of having 7-10 records. Now we get to today, where you hire a coach like Raheem Morris, who has spent years with the same organization but as DC, having that familiarity of this franchise, and even before that was capable of turning a 3-13 team to 10 wins at Tampa Bay when he was the head coach there a couple years back. And then at LA, where he won a Super Bowl as a DC, as well as turning a ragtag group of players into a above average defense last year, who has shown to coach on the offensive end and defensive side of the ball really well. I mean, you have the total package of a coach in Raheem Morris, and many were shocked that they will go for a guy like him instead of Bill Belichick. But seeing how Billy B has coached for this Patriots squad ever since Brady left, I think the Falcons made the better decision as far as the head coach goes. And then later in the offseason, one of the talks of the offseason is Kirk Cousins signing a 4-year, $140 million deal with the team, while many question this move, including me, signing an Asian QB instead of drafting one. But actually, they signed a QB along with drafting another QB in the same year, which is wild. They drafted Michael Penix Jr., a 24 going to 25-year-old QB, along with signing a 35-year-old Kirk Cousins. How does it make sense? By the time Cousins' contract is up, Penix will be approaching his early 30s when he starts for the first time at Atlanta, which is wild to think about. But going back to Cousins, from 2020 to now, Cousins has been one of the better QBs in the NFL. Sure, he's never lived up to the pressure in the playoffs, hell, even in primetime games, but he is for sure a way better option at QB than the likes of a Desmond Ridder or a Marcus Mariota. And having that upgrade at QB was much needed. And not even that, not only they hired Raheem Morris, signed Kirk Cousins, but Raheem Morris' first move was hiring Zach Robinson, his colleague, as the offensive coordinator for the Falcons was textbook. The same Zach Robinson who was the passing game coordinator for the LA Rams, and the guy that learned from Sean McVay, the same guy that revolutionized the motion offense in modern football, the same guy that produced a guy like Kevin McConnell, who was an offensive mastermind in his own right at Minnesota and also won a Super Bowl as well as the OC back in 21. For a guy that came from a coaching staff like McVay, I am very confident in Zach Robinson conducting this offense and really utilizing the talent in the offense at its fullest capability, unlike Arthur Smith. And talking about the defense, in which is going to be much improved despite having one of the absolute worst defenses in the NFL last year. Like I said, we saw how Raheem Morris was able to take a nobody defense into a fairly formidable defense last year back at LA. I could guarantee he can do the same with the Atlanta Falcons. They have the same amount of talent, if not a little bit more, with AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates leading the charge on defense. And of course, you have Grady Jarrett, a young talent such as Zach Harrison, Braylon Trice, and many others. They have enough for Morris to work with. I can guarantee you right now, the Falcons will go from a bottom 3 defense to an above average defense this coming season. So this question lingers, are the Atlanta Falcons playoff contenders in the NFC? Yes, they are, and here's why. 1, they have an experienced coach in Raheem Morris. 2, they have an upgrade in QB in Kirk Cousins. And 3, they have a better coaching staff. And because of all of these moves, the Falcons are poised to win their division in the NFC South. I believe they have the best offense among all the divisional rivals, including the Buccaneers. They have a Bijan Robinson who, given the football, is a legit top 5 halfback talent. That along with Tyler Algier, the Falcons have a top 5 backfield. They have Kyle Pitts, who is a generational type tight end. When given the football, he has proven he has the talent based on what he can do in his rookie year. They have a Drake London who can be a top 10 wideout talent, that along with an elite all-line, a much improved defense under Morris. While they may not be a Super Bowl contender, they're for sure going to the right direction as far as the franchise goes. I think they have one of the most potent offenses in the game, and with a better defense, the Falcons are the best team in their division, and my pick for them to win 10 games and win the weak division. So thank y'all for watching this vid. What do y'all think about the Falcons? Can they win the NFC South? Let me know, and be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more NBA and NFL content in the future. Turn on post notifications, and that is all. Stay litty. This is the A-Man Show. Sign out.